and rolling. So happy Thursday night, everybody. Of course, I've got my co-host Allie with me tonight, and tonight we are covering element 2. And just like I said a few minutes ago, if you joining us for the first time this evening, highly suggest you go back, watch element number 1 video, do that 7 layers deep exercise that we've got in there. That is your first step to help you transform your life. Tonight, of course, element 2, knowing what you want to accomplish. Of course, every week, this process, we're going to cover mindset, skill set, and action. And of course, the mindset is identifying what you want. Why are you here? What do you want to accomplish out of this process? Put those photos in your head so you can see that. Develop a strategy to help you start creating your desired change. And then, of course, action is explore how ready, confident, and willing you are to engage in each of these 6 macro habits of health. So if you don't know what the 6 macro habits of health are, you're going to get a taste of those this evening. And what you're going to find is all of these macro habits work synergistically together. And it's important to focus on 1 or 2 at a time and then build from there. And so we're going to start covering that this evening. So Allie, whenever you're ready.
All right. Well, last week we talked about finding your why. One of the things we talked about, and one of the things we will do all the way through this life book, is we're just going to start developing an awareness of the conversations that we have with ourselves in our brain. So last week we dug deep to find out why we're doing this. And we talked a little bit about the difference between saying, oh, I ought to do this, I need to do this, and the power that takes away from your ability to actually get it done. But what you need that inner conversation to be is, I want to do this, not I need to, I should, I ought to. It should be, I want to do this. And knowing your why really helps make that want come to life. So this week, the awareness that we're building in our mind for how we're talking about this journey with ourselves is we want to move from how can I use this life book? How can I use these tools? How can I use these habits to how must I use these to develop lifelong wellness? So we're going from how can I do it to how must I do it, right? Because you got to do it a particular way in order for it to work, right? And we're gonna talk about that. Now, do you have to be perfect? No, and you won't be perfect. And in that imperfection, you're going to learn a lot about where you are, where you want to go, what you need, what steps you need to take to get there. It talks about creating your desired change. We're going to start finding those things out when we start figuring out where we are and where we want to go. Reasons reap results, and reasons reap rewards. So our goal is to help you create immense success and satisfaction in your personal and professional life. It's all linked. If you're doing well in your personal life, that's just going to bleed over into your professional life, right? When you're finding balance and joy and, and your habits are healthy and you're feeling good, you're going to perform well in all areas of your life, relationships, personal things, and also in your business. And I want to say this really quickly because this is such the truth. So taking this journey for a lot of people, maybe, I don't know if you were like me, I learned about Optavia from a good friend, but I waited 2 months before I pulled the trigger because I kept coming up with all these reasons why now wasn't a good time to start. But so this intervention you're having with yourself for bringing on new healthy habits, it probably is occurring, or it may be occurring at not a great time. It might be occurring at an inconvenient time. But the truth is, there's never a good time to change your familiar routines and habits. There's never a good time. Like there's never that perfect moment where it's like, all right, all my ducks in a row, I'm doing it. So it's okay. Just embrace the fact that there's never a great time, but it's always a great time to start because there's never a perfect time. But if whatever you're doing is currently leading you to poorer health and well-being, there isn't never a better time than right now. And your coach will work with you to make sure that it fits into your daily life, that it fits into your rhythm, that, it's not going to feel, I think a lot of us worry that it's going to be taking on all this other stuff that, we already feel overwhelmed. We already feel like, how can I do anything else? But if you're doing this right, it's just swapping out things that aren't working for better ways to do it. So you shouldn't be adding a bunch of stuff to your life. You're just swapping things around and trading things out. So think of it, if you have a big bag of stuff and you've packed a bunch of stuff, there's a bunch of stuff in there you don't need, or you've got 3 things in there that do the same thing. You can take those out and just have one thing that covers all 3 bases. It's going to be doing stuff like that. That's what this life book is for. When we talk about what we want, it's usually tied to a pleasure principle, okay, rather than a lasting satisfaction. We confuse the things that bring us immediate pleasure with the things that lead to lasting fulfillment. Can I get an amen from anybody? That was a huge, light bulb moment for me. Most of the things that create pleasure are only present while we're doing them. For example, eating a Snickers bar. That is amazeballs while we're doing it. But the minute we swallow that last bite down our throat, what happens? It's over. It's done. The joy, the experience, the wow in your mouth, it's done the minute you swallow that last bite. So while that was amazing in the moment, it doesn't have lasting joy. It doesn't bring, lasting excitement. It doesn't bring lasting peace or satisfaction. It's very temporary. So when we eat, we feel pleasure, and when we stop, the pleasure does too. The things that bring you satisfaction will last beyond the effort needed to complete them. Okay. So, an example of that is I walk every day for about 30 minutes. But the satisfaction and all the good stuff it does for me here and here lasts way longer than the 30 minutes I spend walking. Does that make sense? So we're going to learn a lot about, our brain is going to tell us, but then you're going to experience it and you're going to go, actually, yeah, that's true. I did this for this much. It has this many benefits. What about getting 8 hours of sleep a night? 8 hours of sleep a night isn't just pleasurable in those 8 hours that were passed out. You reap and feel the benefits of getting 8 hours of sleep all the next day, and sometimes for days to come if you're doing it on a regular basis. So that's one of the 6 healthy habit areas we're going to talk about. The habits of health are the things that we're going to bring into our lives that will live on, and their benefits will far outweigh the work and time it takes to learn and install them. The micro habit of healthy weight management is where pretty much everybody starts. So that's, that first week on the fuelings, because if I don't know where everybody is on their journey that's listening to this right now, or they're going to listen to the recording. That first week, when you get on day 7, you celebrate on day 8, having done an entire week, you feel very differently than you did when you started. Getting our body to feel better and work better and give us more energy and help us sleep better at night, starting to tick off some of those other habit areas and make them better, that actually helps us open our heart and our mind and have confidence and excitement and believe in ourselves that we can do this journey. And that's why we start with that healthy weight management, getting us back into structure, having a little bit of a disciplined existence for a week. That's why Dr. Anderson starts with nutrition, but that does not mean that is the end all be all, or that is all we got to do. Let's turn to page 56 if you've got your life book in front of you. And we're going to look at the 6 macro habits of health. So I will tell you, I'm 6 years in on this journey, and I am always bopping around having to work on one of these 6 healthy habit areas. I might get really great at, healthy eating and hydration, but then I might be kind of a couch potato because it's been cold outside and the days are short. So I'm like, I got to move around more. Or maybe over Christmas, some goodies got brought into the house. When we start our journey, what do? We create healthy surroundings. We clean out our pantry, right? We don't put tempting things in the house. But over the holidays, somehow candy creeps in, cookies creep in, cakes creep in. You're like, what is this doing? So, we work on getting our surroundings healthy again. As you lose weight, your confidence and motivation will increase and set the path for you getting excited about these other macro habits. So that's also why Dr. Anderson starts there. When you feel better, when you're having more energy and you're losing weight safely, right? By doing this, because we're feeding our bodies really good nutrition, you'll be motivated to discover more ways you can improve your health. When you did your health assessment, when you reached out to your friend that inspired you to take on this journey, you did that health assessment. You probably remember answering some questions about how much water do you drink? How much do you sit every day? How much do you eat out? Are people in your life supportive of you generally when you take on something? All of those questions were little sneaky questions to get a day in the life of you and kind of see where you were with these 6 healthy habit areas. It's good to memorize these because as we move through our journey, we are not going to attack all 6 of these at once. So don't freak out. We're not doing that. But you may go, well, you know what, Allison, I'm already pretty good. I'm a good water drinker. Like I always have been. I just love water and I drink tons of it every day. So healthy hydration is one that you're already good with. But maybe you say, but I get anxious and worried and stressed out a lot. And, at the end of the day, I found myself staring at the pantry, milling about, even though I'm not hungry because I have this stress eat triggering thing going on. So healthy mind is something you would dive into with your coach. So this is what we want to do, right? Where we want it. In order to know where we want to go, we have to figure out what we want to do right now. So on page 57, in these next few pages, I'm just gonna go through them really quickly. But I want you all to take your time filling this out, okay? But this is your readiness ruler. So the first question he asks is, how important is it to you to make a change in your weight right now? And for me, that question was even better if it was, to make a change in my wellness right now. Okay. And he's got 1 to 10. You can pick that. I love looking back at this because this is my 5th time through the life book. And it's fun to see what I put when I started the very first time. And then he asks you to, think about what led you to pick that number. And then what would help you pick a higher number, right? If you're not at 10 on the readiness ruler, what do you think would help you get to 10 on the readiness ruler? On page 58, how confident are you that you can reach a healthy weight right now? When I started this journey, I was not confident at all. But I will tell you, by day 8, I was like, my confidence was really good because what I accomplished in just 8 little days, I thought, if I can do that in 8 days, holy cow, what am I going to be able to do moving forwards? So that number shifted really quickly. And then your readiness ruler, how ready are you to make a change in your weight management right now? So you remember we talked about that. Have you got the voice in your head going, well, I am kind of stressed and there's a lot going on at work and da 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 da. Is that affecting your readiness to do this right now? Or are you like, it doesn't matter what's going on in my life, that stuff's going on all the time, I'm ready to do something different? And then we go on to page 60, and we're talking about the healthier, eating healthier and better hydration. So we're going over that healthy habit. We're asking, how willing are you to work on that habit area right now, right? What's your confidence in that area that you'll be able to make progress in that area? How ready are you? So how willing are you and how ready are you sound like they're the same thing, but they're 2 different things, right? You can be willing, but you can be like, I don't know if I'm ready right now. So if you're scoring, these are great things after you go through this and you do this, when you circle up with your coach this week, when you guys do your check-in call, say, hey, I'd like to talk to you. There's a couple of things, couple of healthy habit areas that, I'm having a little issue with my willingness or my readiness, and they will help you change that. And, you don't have, if you have 6 habit, if you feel like you're like that in all of them, well, then don't worry about it. Just pick one. What 3 things can you stop doing right now that will help you eat healthier and hydrate better? And then we're going to talk about moving more. So we're going to talk about, I'm just moving through this because there's a bunch. I don't want to spend too much time here because I want y'all to take your time doing these. Moving more. So now we're in that healthy motion habit area. Okay. Now, when you're starting your journey and you're on the 5 and 1, there is no having to go to the gym. There is no, having to do any kind of heavy duty exercise. When we talk about moving more, we're just talking about like, am I sitting too much every day? And start building that awareness of how much am I getting up and moving around? Could I improve on that? And then, what's your willingness ruler right now to maybe make a change in this wellness area, right? In this healthy habit area. How confident are you that you can do, so for example, when I started this journey, I was at 211 pounds. So I was 50 pounds overweight and I was 44 years old and I hurt. So I wasn't super excited about moving more. And to me, moving more meant you got to go to the gym, you got to kill it, you got to hurt. And it wasn't that at all. It was just building oh, okay, I've been sitting on this couch for an hour working on this, thing for work. I'm going to get up and go walk around. I'm going to go throw the Frisbee with the dog. But, it was just, it helped me look at this healthy habit area a little bit differently. How ready am I to do that right now? And you know what? My advice to you will be, whichever ever healthy habit area you start with, try picking one that you have a high willingness and a high readiness for, right? Because that's one that you're ready to work on. If there's one that you're kind of like, not yet, save it, because you're going to get to a point that you will be ready to work on that one. Trust me, as you check these other ones off your list. Sleeping better, right? How interested are you? How willing are you to maybe go to bed a little earlier, right? Maybe to develop a nighttime routine, a bedtime routine, so that you can get into that good state of sleep a little bit better every night. Make some small changes in how your evening looks. Put that phone down, turn off the TV an hour before bedtime, watch your exposure to lights, things like that. How willing are you to start making some of those changes right now? How confident are you that you can make those changes to do that? And then how ready are you to do it and start experiencing better sleep? My personal favorite, the one that has helped me and saved my life, is the Healthier Mind Healthy Habit. You think about it, this is a supercomputer that runs all of this. If this isn't doing right, chances are everything else is going wonky. How important is it to make a change in your thoughts and feelings and actions right now? What's your willingness to do that? How confident are you that you can make a change in your thoughts and feelings and actions right now? I will be honest with you. I went into this program. When I started it, I thought I was just wired the way I was wired, and I was this kind of person, and this is the way I looked at the world and did things. And the beautiful truth of it is that there are a lot of things I could be doing differently and be doing better and be doing in a healthier way. And so my confidence was low in this area, but it quickly changed as I started to heal and feel better and realize how much control I had over changing in this area. What's your readiness ruler for that? I was very ready because I came into this program with issues with anxiety and depression, and that's very much about needing a healthier mindset. So I was very ready to tackle this. And to be honest, I have spent most of my time working on this habit. And it has been a game changer and helped me then tackle a lot of the other habits. Better surroundings. This one's an interesting one because we think of better surroundings. We think of just cleaning out our pantry, but it also means the people we surround ourselves with, the activities we choose to do, what we choose to take into our minds via media. Do we read trashy romance novels? Are we reading something that's going to help us learn something more about ourselves and grow as a human being? Just balance that out. You don't have to read all or other, but just balance it out. So what's your willingness to make better surroundings? Sometimes that's scary. It might mean that your friend that's always trying to get you to misbehave, who's not super excited that you've decided to take your wellness back, you might have to interact with that friend in very specific scenarios. And, going out to the old pizza place on Friday nights, that might be an activity, a surrounding that you can't do right now. And you have to set that off to the side. And you guys come up with a new way of hanging out or a new thing that you do together. What's your confidence ruler that you can change in this area? And what's your readiness ruler? Maybe this isn't the first one you want to tackle, but you may find that your healthy surroundings, it sure is nice to have healthy surroundings on days that are hard, right? If your temptations aren't around to throw you off track on a day that maybe you're not having a great day or something hit you sideways or there was a big change in what you thought the day was going to be, that's when that habit of better surroundings is really going to be great. Then he talks about other areas. Are there any other important areas that, we haven't addressed in those 6 healthy habit areas that you want to do better in? And I will tell you, looking at my page here, when I did this a while ago, my marriage was one. I put that down as a healthy habit area. I wanted to have a healthier marriage. And so, that was something, of course, it helps doing this journey and getting good at those other 6 healthy habit areas. I'm starting to heal from within, and you bring a healed person into that relationship, that helps, right? What's my willingness? What's my confidence? What's my readiness for that? And then thinking of things I can start doing to create the desired outcome, and things I can stop doing that are sabotaging that. And then let's just take a moment to review back over what we talked about. So guys, please hear my heart on this. Kenny and I are going to do a new element every week. But that doesn't mean you have to rush through this. You know, come in here, come to hear us talk about it, come to hear us kind of go through it so that when you hit it, you're like, oh, yeah, I remembered Allison said this, or Kenny said this, or, you know, I've been excited to get to this one. But please don't make you feel like you have to rush through this. And as you work in the life book, please, when you circle up with your coach, share with them, you know, like, you know what, I went through the 6 healthy habit areas. The one that I feel like I'm the most willing and ready to work on right now is this one. So how can we break that down into some baby steps to lead me to where I want to go and help me do better in that area? And then as you conquer that one, then you guys can move on to the next one. This one, element 2, is one that we'll work on throughout our whole, you know, way through the life book, because every single element is going to be kind of address one of these different healthy habit areas and be kind of a deep dive into that. Kenny, did you want to say some stuff?
Yeah, you know, and I think a lot of people look at these 6 macro habits, and here again, once you get beyond week 1, you're probably already pretty engaged in at least 2 of those. And so if you look at them, of course, healthy eating and hydration, and then healthy weight management, you're already engaging in those 2. And so it's important to, you know, to start stacking the wins in those areas, and then asking yourself, just like Allison said, probably the hardest one for many of us is the healthy mindset. And I'll just share this with you all because I think it's important. When you've coached close to 1,000 clients, I have seen many get to the healthy mindset and they close the book. Number 1, they're scared. They're scared of what's to come. Number 2, we've dieted for so many years and yo-yo dieted that we're not ready to accept these new ideas and these new things that are going to help us sharpen our skill set so that when we get to our goal, we can keep the weight off. And here again, that goes back to your mind is holding you back. You know, whatever somebody's told you, or maybe a spouse has been ugly and said you're just always going to be that way, or, you know, or some people say, hey, you know, we're Moors. We've always been big bone. I've heard my dad say that before, and I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, so, you know, those things like that. And here again, that's a healthy surrounding issue too. If you've got family members that are constantly throwing that out, he no longer does that, but I know he used to do that when I was young and I was much heavier. We heard that quite a bit. You know, we're Moors, we've always been big bone, and or you know, or they call me Big Kenny, and so I don't want to walk around with Big Kenny on my license plate. Obviously, some people do that. You know, we see that, we take that on, but you've got to learn how to change your mindset around your current situation, circumstance. So just like Allie, we were both the same age when we started the process, 44. And Dr. A said this on stage when I heard this. And so I was 44, just finishing up my journey. He said that most people, when they reach the age of 44 years old, they quit dreaming and envisioning what their life could be. They just give up on their dreams, and then they go into this acceptance phase where you just say, I'm getting old. This is how it's going to be. And I've got to take these medications, and this is how I'm going to have to live the rest of my life. And it doesn't have to be that way if you get involved in all 6 of these areas. And so and just like I said earlier, and I've said before, you can do everything right on this process and lose the weight. But if you're not working on this healthy mindset, you're missing that one, you know, important aspect of this whole process, you're going to gain the weight back. And so that's what I know so many of you don't want to do. And so, and for many people, you know, I've heard some of these exercises that we talk about doing, they sound elementary. That was a concept that I had when I first did this, was like, you know, this is not going to work for me. You know, why do I need to do that? I know how to eat, blah, blah, blah. But, you know, if you start working on your healthy mindset, and then in that process, you create awareness around the habits that you have that maybe aren't serving you so well. Maybe some of you like to get involved and want to be right all the time, or you see a discussion on Facebook and you just chime in or make a comment. Here again, when you do that, you take yourself down these rabbit holes, and you take yourself from being productive in your personal world to being unproductive and just creating chaos. And so that's the thing that we're going to learn, especially as we get into element 4, is how do we create calmness? How do we create awareness around creating health for us? And how do we control what comes into our brain? And how do we control what goes into our mouth? And so that's where this process becomes really real. And so just like Ali said earlier too, when it comes to the readiness ruler and the willingness ruler, be totally transparent and honest with your answers. And they will change because you may find as time goes on, you start mastering healthy hydration. You start mastering how to eat healthy. And then maybe that's where, maybe your willingness to work on your healthy mindset is not where it needs to be yet. But if you're kind of in the middle, and then you start mastering these skills over here and you stack these wins, then you're ready to move to the next thing. And but always ask yourself, and if you're not sure every week where you're at in that process, go back and reevaluate. Hey, have I done everything I need to do this week to move forward? Am I seeing results? Not only on the scale, am I seeing results in how I feel? Am I seeing results in how my clothes are fitting? And so when you start stacking those wins, then you can say, okay, that's working well. What do I want to accomplish next? You've always got to ask yourself what's next. And whether you've been doing this process for a week, a month, or 3 months, or wherever, Allie's electricity is getting ready to blink off. I just saw that. Regardless of where you're at in this process, you got to continue to ask yourself, what can I do to improve? What do I need to do next? So if you feel like you're eating on schedule every day, you're weighing your portion sizes, you're drinking your water every day, what can I work on next? Well, maybe my sleep's not quite where it needs. How do I work and improve on that? And all that information is in the Life book, and it's in the Habits of Health book, or you can reach out to your coach and ask for some ideas. Also, ladies and gentlemen, those who are watching the recording too, use Optimal Awakenings as a true resource. And what do I mean by that? A lot of folks don't know this, but I will quickly show you all something, and I'm going to pull it up on my phone. So if you pull up Optimal Awakenings, for example, at the top of my browser, there's a magnifying glass. So if you touch that magnifying glass, you can search for something. And I'll use an example. Let's just say you're sick and feeling pretty bad. And you're not sure what kind of cough medicine you can try, or maybe a cough drop. Go to Optimal Awakenings, click that magnifying glass and type in the word sick. Let it search. You will be shocked at what you will find. Resources. What kind of cough medicines can you try? It gives you a full list of everything you can go get. Cough drops. Here again, if you've got diarrhea and you're puking, how do you manage that? But if you type in that word sick, you'll get the answer to your question. If you're looking to create a dinner one night, and I do this quite frequently, I'll walk into the grocery store because I don't buy a week's worth of groceries at a time. I shop one day at a time. And I won't go into reason I do that, but we used to own a grocery store. So that's why I do one day at a time. I like fresh meat right out of the case into the house. But if I'm walking into the store and I want to have shrimp for dinner, I go to Optimal Awakenings, take the magnifying glass, type in the word shrimp. All the recipes pop up that have shrimp. Same thing with zucchini or spaghetti squash. Those of you who are in here don't know how to fix spaghetti squash, it's really easy. Just type in spaghetti squash, and the video comes up on how to prepare it. So I want to give you all those things to kind of know that Optimal Awakenings is there as a resource for you. And so just be aware of that. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap up? Feel free to raise your hand and come off mute. Liz Johnson, you got any questions tonight? No?
No, she's just sitting there being blessed.
And of course, next week we'll dive into element 3. How do you create what you want? And that's where we really start putting the rubber to the road with this whole process. But here again, just to kind of recap with element 1, why are you here? You've got to have your why before you, and here again, if your why is not strong enough, your how will never be good enough. Mm-hmm. All of you have the how. And Allie and Liz and myself and any other coaches that are in here, we know that the how works. Optavia works. I've never seen it not work for anybody. If you follow the process, true to form. And if you follow it exactly as it's specified and not modify it, you will see the results. And what do I mean by modify? I always use this example because a lot of people try to skirt the system. We think we're smarter than the system. One of my first clients that I coached was well over 300 pounds. We were the same age when he started the process. In the first week, we go to check in and he's like, dude, I didn't lose any weight. And I'm like, what? Usually somebody over 300 pounds, they have a really good first week. And so we talked a little bit about what he had done that week and asked some questions and so forth. Hello. And so anyway, I asked a couple of questions and I said, hey, be honest with me. Over this last week, have you had anything go into your mouth that wasn't on the plan? Well, he says, I'm going to be totally honest. He said, every morning when I fix my kids' lunch for school, I eat 2 grapes. And I told him, dude, this is how exact the program is. I said, and cost was a consideration for him. I said, so you burned 7 days of this process and gone sideways. I said, this week, don't eat the grapes. And I said, your kids are watching you. He had a fear that his kids were going to grow up and be obese like himself. And I said, remember, they're watching everything you do. And if dad is in their kids' eyes, dad's doing a diet, let's be real. But they see dad sneaking 2 grapes. So when they see dad sneak 2 grapes, they think it's okay for themselves to do it. I said, remember, they're watching you. So the next week, he didn't eat the grapes and he lost 13 pounds. 13. Again, keep in mind, he was well over 300 pounds when he started.
Yeah.
And, but I tell that story because that is how exact the process is. So if you're cooking a cake for your husband's birthday and you go and you do that, you just took yourself out of fat burn. That's how exact the process is. Mm-hmm. So just remember that. I think it's really important. Well, ladies, you all have a great week. I'm going to stop recording. And